Hi, my name is Joan Thoboshiri. I'm a HR consultant. Today I want us to talk about life post COVID-19. Now, I don't think life is ever going to be the same again, I don't think life is going to be the same again in terms of our family life, how we do, how education is carried out, how governments operate, how hospitals operate. I don't think life is going to be the same again ever. And so having the mentality for, I'm going to do this and that after the pandemic lifts is not the right kind of mindset that we need to have, because the pandemic is not, going away anytime soon. And so we need to be able to learn how to navigate in the pandemic. The other thing that is not going to be the same again is how interviews are carried out. You can imagine going for an interview, and because the norm usually is, you want to greet the interviewers, you're in close proximity. And of course, right now, it's not going to be the same. So you can imagine going into an interview and trying to greet your interviewers, or going for an interview without a mask, or not observing social distancing. Of course, now these are additional things that the people who are going to be in the panel are going to be on the lookout for. Traditionally, of course, you'll not be asked, previously, you're not going to be asked any COVID-19 related questions, but I think during interviews now, interviewers will want to ask questions like, how have you been dealing with the pandemic? And then especially if you're still currently employed, how have you dealt with the pandemic? How have you been communicating with your team? How have you managed to keep your team engaged and motivated? What are some of creative ways you've used to be able to make sure you're productive during this season? What are some of the challenges that you've been facing? And these are questions that you need to answer appropriately, so that then you're able to stand out during the interview. If you overlook these questions, then you might actually be very technically qualified for a role, but because you fail in answering questions related to the pandemic, this might actually cost you the job. So having in mind that life is not going to be the same again after this pandemic is very important. And then preparing appropriately is also important, because then the other thing that is going to happen, let's say you apply for a job as, let me give an example of, for example, hotel manager. Of course, now if hotels were to reopen, they have to observe social distancing. People have to wear PPEs. People might have to make appointments before going to the hotels. The staff also need to observe the social distancing. So even the way they serve food is going to be different. So if you're given a job as a manager, or if you are to go for an interview, can you be able to articulate how you are going to do your work, during this pandemic? And actually, you might go for an interview and you're probably not, you don't have enough experience as the other candidate, but because you can demonstrate that you can be able to maneuver through this pandemic, you might actually end up getting the job. So I feel in this season, how to maneuver this pandemic might be a skill. If you can be able to demonstrate, it can help you get a job. And just thinking forward and thinking about the how is also another thing that you want to think about when you're attending your interviews. That's all that I had for today. I hope you're sanitizing and keeping safe. Thank you, and see you next time.